Good evening. So behind the scene, I'm getting some messages. So I'm trying to get everyone in. I guess some persons are having challenges getting them in. So just give me 1 minute to sort them out. Um, but I want to believe that for those that were able to get in, wasn't anything difficult. You could get in easily, right? Let me confirm that. For Jasmine, Dio, Lamide, oh, okay, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so Jasmine says pretty easy. Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking some persons might not have Teams installed. Let's give them 1 minute. I'm getting more people coming. Good. Welcome, Cat Lego. Okay, all right. Welcome, Ayomide. So Ayomide has been able to get in. Let me see how I can help more persons. Can we just get to the group and just let people know we're live? Can we just send messages on the group so that the devices will be buzzing? Can we just send messages? We're live, we're live, we're live. Right, please can we do that on the group? So once it's 5:35 would start. Once it's 5:35 would start. All right. Yeah, I think we'll start so that we don't take too much of our time. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's webinar. Welcome to everyone. My name is Omotola Izenwoke. I'm the convener of this webinar. And I also like to mention that our guest speaker is on the call already, Olamide Shoyemi. Do you want to say anything? Do you just want to say hello to us? Olamide Shoyemi. Can you,
Good
okay.
evening, everyone.
Good
My name is
evening.
Kim. Thank you.
Good evening.
Lovely
Thank
to
you, Lam.
thank you, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Lamide, for honoring our invitation. Thank you very much. And I also like to say welcome again to every person here, Jasmine, Dio, Ayomide, Katlego. Welcome to today's webinar. So this will be our first in the series of the financial modeling webinar. And today, like we are aware, our focus would be to expose everyone to why the need for financial modeling, why the skill is very important and why it's relevant and why we should pay an attention to it, why it's a valuable skill. And that's what we're doing today, why financial modeling is a must-have skill. And to God be the glory, we have a certified financial modeler in our midst, and the person of Olamido Shoyemi, and she earned this while she was an undergraduate student in the university. So it's very attainable, for anyone that so wishes to. And aside that, the financial, you don't necessarily have to go for certification for you to learn financial modeling. You can learn financial modeling without the certification. I would say I went through that route at first, but of course I'm adding the certification to it. The reason is because it definitely opened more doors for those that want to freelance and you want to be able to work on different projects. You want to be able to convince your clients that you're able to do it. All right. Sometimes they may not even believe you've done certain work because they might think somebody else did it. So having a certification can actually increase your chances. And of course, Lamide will be sharing from our own experience how that played out for her. All right. So in order not to take too much of a time, I would go into the keynote. Thereafter, Lamide will come up with our own keynote and also to give us a bit of demonstration. Please, I want you to confirm if you can see my screen. Please, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you very much. Right. Okay, so we're having more people join us. So let me just run through this because we really want to listen to Lamide. That's why most of us are here. But let me run through why financial modeling is a must-have skill. Why is it important? Why are we suddenly talking about this, or why is everyone talking about it? So the first thing I want us to understand is when we talk about financial modeling, it's not Excel formulas and complex spreadsheets. And of course, we build models on, models on spreadsheets. We build models using other applications. However, it's not just about that. Now, a lot of person had approached financial modeling by learning how to model using Excel. And a lot of person have not been able to, break through that by understanding how this plays out in the real world. So it's not just about knowing how to use Excel, but it's also about how to be able to move beyond that and then make strategic decisions for businesses and suggestions for your clients. So it's basically storytelling with numbers. All right. So this is a combination of your research skill, you're coming with your accounting skill, your finance skill, your economic skill, you're coming with all of this to be able to tell story with the numbers. So you're not just telling your clients or anyone you're working for, you're not just telling them profit is now 30% above last year. You want to be able to explain to them the implication of that, and how that can impact on the future years. So your depth of the organization, your knowledge of the organization is very important because no two organizations are the same. So you need to understand the industry in which the organization is playing in order to be able to provide context to the models you are prepared on your Excels. So another thing we need to understand is that financial modeling talks about how to translate data into decision ready insight. So how we translate raw data into decision ready insight. And this is very important. I remember yesterday had a very quick conversation with a to-be clients, and we're still trying to get them on board. And one of the things we talked about, they were not necessarily interested in all of the jargons that we would work with. What they wanted to know was how this was going to impact the future of the business. So they were not interested in the jargons because that's not their problem. They want to know how to move beyond those jargons. So that's what we're saying. It helps you to translate data into decision ready insight and also help to forecast future performance based on assumptions. Now, while we're talking about assumptions, now for those that have like any form of accounting knowledge, you know that most of what we do in accounting, we're just recording what had happened in the past. But the truth is, a lot of times there are expectations of what will happen in the future. And a business that will be better positioned in order to mitigate any form of risk or any form of challenges in the future should be able to make a forecast into the future. And of course, how do we forecast into the future? We have not been. We're going to be using assumptions. And those assumptions we're going to be putting in there to see how it to play out for the organization if 1, 2, 3 happens. So let me give a typical example. So just imagine there's going to be a change in government. Like we had when President Tinubu got into power. Just imagine there's going to be a change in government. So the question is, how is that, change of governance? How will it affect the business? So depending on the sector of the business, depending on what the business is about, the kind of contracts the business currently handle, then they will now have to make assumptions to see how this change of governance can impact on the business. And then they can begin to take strategic decision in order to mitigate any adverse effects. Another thing we need to understand about financial modeling is that it helps to test different business scenarios and evaluate risks, and that's the beauty of it. So right before the eventuality happens, you can actually test your different, scenarios and see how that plays out. Evaluate your risk and be better prepared. There's certain risk that cannot be eliminated from the business. All right, when it's now converted to financial, data, but you can actually be prepared for them and be able to do, be able to provide a way, provide a way to be able to absorb any form of any shocks that comes with a risk. And another thing is financial model helps to communicate financial implications to stakeholders. Now, your stakeholders are ranging from your clients, ranging from investors, and I think I would like to even touch more on this because when we talk about stakeholders, there are certain stakeholders you might not have identified as a business, and if the kind of data you put out can actually help to attract such stakeholders. For instance, as a business person, we probably have investors, you have venture capitalists that are interested or you that are even already on board, but there might be some other venture capitalists or investors that are not yet on board that might be interested, to see how they can come into the business. Now, if they have information about the financial implication of the business and how the business is, moving or how the business is going forward, that might help them make better decision on whether to come on board or not. So it's not just stating your financial statements like you would have by your normal accounting report. Beyond your normal management reports, giving them more insight can actually help you to communicate the financial position implications to the stakeholders. It also helps to turn your theory into strategy, and I think I've mentioned that before. So let's talk about how an accountant and why this is important for me personally, because I have an accounting background and I see a lot of accountants kind of let me see, they are kind of hindered from moving forward beyond accounting. All right. And the truth is, most times the accounting line in most organizations, the top of that pyramid is the chief financial officer, which is the CFO. And at that level, they're not just expecting you to do accounting because that won't fly. For any serious organization, they want more. And that's why, as an accountant, even though you have an accounting background, you can move beyond just accounting and then begin to look into the finance world. And that's where financial modeling can now make sense, because this time around, you are now projecting the organization, you're forecasting, what will happen in the future, not necessarily what had happened in the past. So it helps you to move beyond historical reports to forward-looking analysis, and it helps to transform you from a record keeper into a strategic business advisor. And I would like to say, for anyone just getting into the world of works, for those that are just getting their first job, on their first year of job, it's important for you to, from day one, move yourself from just being a record keeper. Now, the truth is, no serious organization would take a new employee and then put them in decision-making arm of the business. But for a small organization, that might happen. But for a big organization, that's really likely to happen. But you likely get jobs roles like maybe bookkeeping and all of that. But you can move yourself beyond that. Nobody's going to tell you what to do, but you can actually move yourself beyond that. So what can you do? For instance, you'll be keeping the books, you have access to the reports, the management report possibly. You could then do a bit of analysis on the reports and present on your own without anybody asking you to do so. Present, just ask for permission, for their time, and then present to the leaders of the organization, telling them what you've seen or what you've identified from their past financial, statement, and that will literally move you from a record keeper into strategic business advisor, because they would want you to be with them, because now they see you're thinking like them. All right. So they will literally want you to work, one-on-one with them, so that they can then, use you basically to then meet their own immediate needs. Another thing is, it helps to support budgeting, valuation. So as an accountant, we understand all of these things, but we can move beyond that. So we're moving into valuation, mergers and acquisition decisions, investment analysis, and all of that. Now, this is very important for us in Nigeria. We have a lot of foreign investors, coming into the Nigerian business world. A lot of them are investing into businesses in Nigeria. A lot of startups are getting a lot of attraction. They're getting financial attraction. But the truth is, the investors, most foreign investors, like to see financial models before they invest. So you can move yourself from just a mere accountant by being on such platform where you would you will now be in the decision room of valuations of mergers and acquisition and investment analysis. Now, for entrepreneurs, yes, there are possibility we have entrepreneurs in our midst. How would you see financial models? See it as an ultimate decision-making compass, because it helps to show what is viable, tells you what's risky, and tells you what's profitable. So it's important you know this before you put your money in anything. And it helps in pitching for to investors. So if you want to get new investors, if you come with a financial model of the future, they are more likely to get an audience than someone coming with just the regular management report. Helps in your pricing, your products, or planning growth. And this also applies to even workers, employees in organization. Whenever you're looking out for launching something, no matter how small it is, if you're going to convince an investor to put their money in, coming with a financial model will speak volume. So let's move to the next thing, which is the competitive advantage you would have. Lambda is going to share our own personal experience with us, how this has played out for her. So with financial modeling, it has a way of changing your mindset, and that's one thing we need to understand. Beyond Excel, your mindset changes, because this time around you're looking beyond the numbers. You're looking at those numbers and you're literally seeing what could happen, the different scenarios that could play out for this organization. So that's one thing. And so just imagine yourself being in job interviews and you're coming from that analytical perspective. All right. Even as a new, as a first time employee or a first time worker or a new graduate, that's it. That's going to make you stand out. It helps you to communicate insights visually and persuasively. Literally, you can convince people. I've seen this work in real life. So you can convince them when they see those numbers. And it, of course, like I said, helps in your job interviews, your consulting projects for those that want to freelance and for promotions in the organization. So let's talk about practical roadmap. Is this something difficult? No. Is this something attainable? Yes. How many years will it take you to attain it, depending on how you're able to you go? So I would say, in a simple form, how do you get on this? I would say have a good foundation in accounting, have a good foundation in finance, and have a good foundation in Excel. Now, even if you don't study, even if your first or second degree is not accounting or finance, you could take courses, online courses on these areas, and just get yourself upskilled in accounting, because you have a better understanding when you know where the numbers are coming from, then to project or to forecast into the future. Now, learn the logic behind linking the income statement, balance sheet, and cash. I would say that's the beginning somehow. Once you understand accounting and you understand the logic behind this, somehow you are in a better fit. Now, when it comes to financial modeling, it's deep, it's vast, and it's like there's no end to it. So it's like the more models you work on the more real life companies you forecast models for, the better you are at the scale. So it's not like one way, just one time. No, you have to really work on different projects, and for you to really get better at it. So another thing is by learning by doing. Yes. So please don't just learn, don't take courses online and then you go to sleep and expect that one day you can really work on a project. You do it, and how do you do it? Get real life projects. All right. So apart from just modeling financial statement and published in annual reports, which is fine. But beyond that, because now the reason is you want to engage the owners of the business. You want to deal with real business issues, right? That you can get information on and you're sure what you're doing. So I would advise, if you can identify businesses around you that you just suggest to them. Somebody is starting up a new business. It doesn't matter how big the business is. And just volunteer to help them with their financial model, help them. And before you know it, you really get better. Then join your community like we have already. Join a community, because for me, I'm in the communities on financial modeling because I want to learn from the experts. So join communities, engage with your mentors. I have mentors. I have people I reach out to, peers, online modeling communities, exchange ideas, stay updated. And that's really how to, stay ahead. So I have an hypothetical scenario. So I'll be showing this to everyone. Let me see how you would go on with this. So there is a bakery owner, and the name of the bakery is Sweet Streets, and is considering opening a second outlet in another part of the city. So let me ask you, without financial modeling, how do you make the decision? How do you think typically organizations make this decision? Can I get response? Oh, I can see we have new persons. Ayola, welcome. Limaru, welcome. Efyong, Enebeli, welcome. Danielle, welcome. So can I get a response before Lamidi comes up? Anybody? How would you take that decision if you were not going to financially, model that decision? Anyone? Should I call on you? Am I alone here? Ayomide? Ayomide, are you with us? Yes, okay. So can you respond? Oh, okay. You can't speak where you are. Okay. So we can speak where they are. Precious, Efyong. I just need one person to. Oh, she's gone. She's gone. All right. So go ahead, catalog.
Let
Yes.
me jump in. I would say by conducting a feasibility and viability study um, around that area. I think that would be
Okay.
a start.
And what would you be doing? The feasibility study? What would you be doing in specific? Not everybody know what feasibility study is. So can you clarify?
So, um, I would conduct like a survey on to gauge whether that area would buy the products that I'll be offering by doing a survey to find out if it's something that they'd be interested in or if it's a need that they have.
Beautiful. Thank you, Catalogo. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Survey. Yes, we're not just taking a decision, intuitive decision. At least a feasibility study. Yes. Oh, Jasmine, please go ahead, Jasmine. Jasmine, your hands are raised. We can't hear you. Maybe you increase the volume. We can't hear you, Jasmine. Oh, can't hear you. Or you can type your answers. For those that are not able to speak, please can you type what you would do? Let me read what Ayomide says. Jasmine, once you can speak, just go ahead. We can't hear you now. Okay, so Ayomide says, but for me, I think I'll do without a financial model background. Okay, without a financial model background is that I have to go to I have to go the manual way, okay? And what does that mean for her? Which is conducting survey, yes, beautiful, and going out for market research, yes, makes sense. At least, so that means we're even not as rude, as some persons would do. When I mean rude, like crude. Let me use the word crude. We're not just making that decision. Oh, because we're selling well. So let's open another store. That means we'll sell well. So you conducting the market research makes sense. So you want to even know if people will be willing to buy the product in that, new area you want to locate the business. Beautiful, beautiful. So Jasmine, are you ready? Okay, Jasmine is typing. Okay, so while she's doing that, can I get more response? Okay, with financial modeling, I hope I can get an answer. What would you do differently? Lamide would, of course, end it well with us, end the question. But before she gets to answer that, can I get any other person speak with financial modeling knowledge? How do you think you can take that decision? What would you do? Okay, no response. All right, so because of our time, Lamide will be starting a session with the answer as a financial modeler herself. Oh, sorry, Jasmine just put up something. I don't think my mic is working fine, but as far as I understand it, because this is my first experience with financial modeling, I think both aspects take different routes. Without the knowledge, you have to gather data qualitatively. Beautiful. Yes, qualitative data, survey, market research. Yes, I agree with you. That's good. Yes, that's even very a good way to start. That's a very good, way to start. Okay. So now we're going to be getting Lamide's point of view, and from there she's going to go into what she has for us today, sharing. So she'll be sharing her experience, how she became a financial modeler, how she got her gigs, the first gig as a advanced financial modeler, how she's navigating the process. She's just a new, she just got certification not too long, so she's doing she's doing so well even since she got a certification. So let's get to hear you. Well, Lamide, so it's your turn. Thank you so much, Lamide. Welcome again, Lamide.
Thank you, Ma. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sheyemi Olamide, and to start my session, I'll be answering the question on how to make this decision with financial modeling knowledge. So, with financial modeling knowledge, the first thing well, what to consider mostly is how much revenue that you're going to be generating from this other outlets in another part of the city. So obviously, qualitative and quantitative research is very much important in like creating a robust model So market research is also very important to like determine exactly, not exactly, but like a rough estimate of how much, like how many customers, like our market range, how much of the markets that will be able to dominate in that part of the city. So after conducting our market research, then we can start modeling the exact amount of sales volume that we want to make in that city, then the pricing that we want to set it at. Then from that, we'll be able to determine how much revenue we can gain from that part of the city, then the cost as well. The cost there might be different from the cost of production here. So we have to take that into consideration as well. So after determining the costs and the assets that we're going to need and other parts, even funding as well, from that we can be able to forecast how much revenue and profits we can make from that other part of the city, which would help the bakery to make the decision on whether to open that outlet or not. Thank you. So in my session, I'll be speaking a bit of how my journey started to getting the certification, the Advanced Financial Modeler certification, and like what it helped me to understand and its importance. Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. I'll be speaking on the importance of financial modeling to me, like in my understanding of business decisions and yeah, that's basically I'll be speaking about these things. So to start, my I okay, first of all, I did not come from an accounting background in my secondary school education, and accounting was basically thrown on me. So from then till my 200 level, while studying accounting, by God's grace, I was passing, but I still was not very sure on the continuity of financial statements. The main question that I had was after this year, after recording the financial statements of this year, next year, how is it going to continue? How do decisions from this year affect next year's decisions that are made? How do these financial statements affect the decisions that businesses take? I had that question for a very long time. And then in my 300 level, the HOD of my department introduced financial modeling to penultimate and final year students. I did my personal research at first, and it seemed like something that would give me a bit of an answer. So D Brown Consulting came to my school and did a little talk on financial modeling, and they introduced the African Student Scholarship to us. I took that opportunity by God's grace. I introduced it to my parents, and thankfully, they were willing to fund the experience for me to gain better understanding of accounting. So I started the journey with D Brown Consulting's African Student Scholarship. The course started with two preliminary courses, that's Advanced Financial Modeling and Excel Fundamentals, teaching us how to use Excel, Microsoft Excel for financial modeling, and basically the fundamentals of financial modeling, the drivers, schedules, and other important things that we would learn as we go on. So what financial modeling helped me to understand, first of all, was the connection between the three financial statements, the three main financial statements, which are the statement of financial position, statement of profit or loss, and the statement of cash flow. Because of my accounting knowledge, it was a bit easier for me to obviously know how to prepare these financial statements, but understanding how they are connected to each other was one thing that I wasn't really sure of. So the Financial Modeling Academy helped me to gain understanding of how these three financial statements are connected. It also helped me to understand the drivers behind line items. For example, things like revenue. The things that drive revenue are sales volume and price. So understanding the drivers behind these line items helped me to know how to forecast them. For example, for revenue, if you understand the pricing that we're setting the product at and if we want the prices to grow or not, it will help to model it in Excel, like exactly. It helped to model it in Excel. Another thing that it helped me to understand was the continuity of financial statements. In my studies, like after a financial year ended, a lot of the funds would be moved to the next year. And the Financial Modeling Academy helped you to understand how to forecast the growth of certain items. So the connection of this knowledge to business decisions comes in very different ways. For example, a company can use the decisions, a company can use the financial forecast prepared to answer different questions based on revenue, costs, capital invested, issuing new shares and equity. For example, while preparing a financial model, you come across the equity section where there's an option to issue new shares or buy back our shares. Companies may decide that it is more profitable to buy back their shares from the public than to issue more shares. And this knowledge, these decisions are backed on the financial models that professionals prepare. They could also raise questions like on debt, like issuing debt capital to fund new projects. Could this decision be helpful or not? Financial models also help to understand how issuing new debt capital could be helpful to the business or not. Like, for example, in the question, in the hypothetical scenario, there will be funding needed. So financial modeling would help the business to make decisions on whether to issue shares or to seek investors to invest in the business for them to open a new outlet. Financial modeling is also used by investors to gain a sizable investment in your business. The business has to create a financial model stating exactly how the funds will be used and providing a reasonable forecast on how profitable the business would be. It is essential for preparing, sorry, secure, I'm so sorry. For entrepreneurs, to secure funding, creating a financial model will be essential so that they can present a clear plan to the investors. For example, if you're going to use their funds, how profitable would this be in the future? So right now I'll be demonstrating a financial model I created while studying with the Financial Modeling Academy. Generally, a financial model contains like 3 different parts: inputs, calculations, and outputs. In the input section, this is where we understand the inputs and assumptions. Sorry. This is where we'll understand the different things that drive, for example, for revenue, we'll see products. A company can decide to create a new line of production, and obviously this involves decisions like pricing and the sales volume. Sorry, ma, please can you go to the assumption sheet? The revenue assumptions. Okay, as you can see, in this company, they decided to create a new product line. It's a noodle company. They create instant noodle packs. They decided to create a new product line for the 100 grams of products. So they had to decide the sales price and how the price will continue growing. If they decide to leave the price just as it is, this financial model can just like erase that part, and we can see in the financial model how that decision alone can affect our revenue. It's the same thing for our volume. If we decide to produce less than what we did last year, we'll be able to see clearly in the financial model how this would affect our revenue. It goes the same way for cost as well. Okay, with my accounting background, we know that there are different types of costs, variable cost and fixed cost. So with variable costs, it affects a unit of the product. By understanding financial modeling, you can calculate in Excel the variable cost per unit of what is produced and also the fixed cost. And cost is also affected by inflation, and other things may also affect cost. So a financial model, knowledge of financial modeling will help you to be able to include these parts, and we can see it clearly in the model how it affects costs, total costs, which will affect our profits. It's the same thing for depreciation, debt, and equity, where we see how these decisions, for example, in CapEx now, if we decide to increase our product, if we decide to add new assets to our lineup, we will see how depreciation affects the value of these assets and how it will ultimately affect our statement of financial position. For our working capital as well, we know working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. So we get to see how, for our current assets and liabilities, they are also driven by items like revenue and costs. So financial modeling helps the ordinary accountant to understand everything that affects these items in the financial statements and how all these items in financial statements ultimately affect working capital, which affects our cash flow, which will affect our cash balance in the business, because cash is necessary for a business to survive. We get to see how working capital affects our cash flow, and other things affect our cash flow, such as debt repayments, interest payments, issuance of new capital, and preference shares. We get to see how these things affect our final model. So now I'll be showing you what the final model looks like based on all of these assumptions. So as we can see in the final model, we get to see how the normal products that was already being produced before and the issuance of a new product affected our total revenue. These things will be calculated in the calculation sheets. So we get to see how costs and cost inflation as well increases our costs and affects our EBITDA. We get to see depreciation as well, buying new assets and how depreciation will affect those assets, which will affect our capital balance. For taxes as well, we get to see in our program, we studied deferred income taxes and current taxes. Deferred taxes occur when the taxes we're paying this year are not, how do I put it? Okay, so deferred taxes occur when the total income taxes we have to pay for that year due to allowable and disallowable expenses. Some of those taxes will be moved to another year. Some of those taxes may be paid the next year, which is deferred income tax. So these taxes they could be liabilities or they could be assets. What we focus on are mainly how deferred income taxes could be assets. So we see how taxes are calculated as well and how they ultimately affect our net income. In the statement of cash flow, we also see how debt repayments, yes, our operating activities as well. We get to see how net income, depreciation, then investment activities and financing activities as well. There's another concept that we were taught, overdraft or revolver. Overdraft is, okay, we know bank overdrafts where we borrow money from the banks, short-term cash loans from the banks to fund our activities. But in this program, revolver occurs when there's little to no cash balance. So there's a concept in financial modeling, in the Financial Modeling Academy, where we are taught how to model revolver based on our free cash flow, as how much cash we have in the business after our operating, investing, and financing activities. when the cash balance is low, revolver is issued or overdraft is issued. Next, in the statement of financial position, we see how we see the balance of cash as well, which we calculated in revolver. We see the value of our assets, the value of our debt and equity after taking those decisions to either increase or reduce debt or increase or reduce our equity as well. The calculations and schedules below show like how these different segments are calculated. It shows the calculations for revenue, for costs, for debts, and every other thing that connects them to the relevant statements. All in all, in my experience with financial modeling, I would say that it increases your analytical and problem solving mindset. For example, like when you're building a model, you are tasked with making reasonable assumptions. For example, in case there are no, for companies that, okay, let me give an example. I took a gig after passing the exam. A friend introduced it to me. He asked me to prepare a financial model for a health insurance company. After being given the financial statements, there was no way for me to actively model for revenue. There was no such thing as product sales volume or price growth. So I had to make an assumption of how the revenue would grow based on their past revenues. For example, I took revenues from the past 3 years and calculated the growth on revenue for those years and used that to project the revenue forward. That is an example of a reasonable assumption. It also helps to make decisions like what if sales drop based on the decisions we have taken? What should we do to prevent sales from dropping? What should we do to increase our sales? So financial modeling helps to make these kind of decisions. It helps to build structured thinking and a problem-solving mindset. In my experience, it also gives a competitive edge. As an accounting student, it is very important to gain skills like Excel, Microsoft Excel, using different accounting softwares. But financial modeling, in my experience, is one of the skills that help businesses actively to make decisions and it informs their strategic insights. It helps in strategic financial management as well. There are different kinds of financial models. There's a DCF financial model, leverage buyout financial models, where investment analysts calculate the DCF of a new project. They calculate the DCF of a new project by forecasting the revenue or the cash flow that the company could get back from this project. Skills like learning how to build DCF models help in valuing companies and projects or assets. It is also useful in risk management and scenario analysis. For example, in this program, we are taught how to use scenarios. For example, if the economy is good or if the economy is bad, there are different scenarios that project our revenue or other line items based on these economic conditions. There's a best case scenario. Okay, for example, in best case scenario, our revenue could grow by this percentage every year, or they could not grow, or they could grow by another percentage every year in like a normal case scenario or a worst case scenario. Financial modeling helps the average accounting students and professionals understand these things to gain a competitive edge in the career world. Thank you so much.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Lamide. Please, can we react to Lamide's presentation? Can we just react to our presentation? I think that was a very good introduction into financial modeling. I don't know how many persons from that presentation are gingered, to get into the financial modeling world. If you are, can I get a response? If you know you're gingered, thumbs up. You're gingered by that presentation to get into the financial modeling world. Can I? Oh, beautiful. Enabile says yes, yes, yes. I know I have students on this platform, but the truth is, professionals are the people that understand this thing. They, even when they don't have the skill, they understand the relevance of the skill. They understand why it is important. This skill is important. So if you're a student and you're on this platform, please do not shy away from any opportunity you get to learn. Even if you cannot afford to pay for the examinations. I know the examinations for students it's $150 for non-students, and it also includes students of any professional association, any professional body, ICANN. As long as you're a student member, even if you're a graduate, you get to pay just $150. Why for non-professional and non-student, then you pay 346, I guess, dollars, right? So, but even if you can't have access to this fund to be able to get into it, I still believe that you can learn financial modeling, or learn financial modeling outside of this. And of course, like I said, I'm also getting the certification because it makes sense. It just helps to speak without you speaking too much. All right. So please, every opportunity you see to learn financial modeling, if you have an accounting background, finance background, you already have a leverage. This will help you. Even people in sciences, most times when they cross over, they do well because they're so good with the technology, they're good with Excel. So they do so well, in it. All they just need to do is to just learn accounting. All right. Thank you so, so much, Lamide. So we're gonna be having our Q&A now. So you can ask any question ranging from the certification, from the process, anything you want to ask Lamide, you can just raise your hand and then um you unmute yourself. If you have questions, can we get hands raised? Questions and raised. Questions about the process. Anybody? Okay, I think I have questions. I have questions. So Lamide, now for someone, what are the for the examinations now? What are the things anyone should be? What are the things one should know in order to pass the examinations? Because there's an exam, so that means some people probably not pass. It's between pass and fail, right? So what are the things that make someone pass that examination? If you've learned it and all, what are the things that makes you pass? Lamide.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. In my experience, what D Brown Consulting taught and what the FMI Institute also recommended to pass the exam was number one, model styling, model design. For example, your model has to be clear and open enough for the average user without any business knowledge to understand. You should be able to explain your model to a layman and he would understand. So model design is a very important aspect. Another important aspect is understanding the drivers behind each line item. For example, like I said, revenue is driven by price and volume. Cost is driven by cost inflation and also production volume. PPE, CapEx is driven by investments in new assets and depreciation as well. So understanding the drivers behind each line item is essential to passing the exam. Another important thing is assumptions. So when creating models, there are different assumptions, reasonable assumptions that must be made. For example, in creating working capital, we have to be able to project our current assets and current liabilities. So understanding the drivers behind those items and the reasonable assumptions. For example, in calculating working capital, things like trade receivables, they are modeled using trade receivable days, the amount of days it takes to recoup or to gain back the income from sales made, credit sales that have been made. So making reasonable assumptions like that is necessary to passing the exam. Another thing that is necessary is scenarios. So in the exam, you'll be required to create a model with 3 scenarios: base case, best case, and worst case. These scenarios affect things like price, volume, and inflation. Because in a good economic situation, cost inflation might be lower than if it was in a bad case scenario. So understanding scenarios is also very important when it comes to passing the exam. And understanding schedules is also important because a lot of the line items in a financial model require schedules. For example, equity requires a schedule, a normal, beginning, change in equity, and ending balance. A schedule like that, understanding how those schedules work and the situations that would require those schedules are also very important. If you understand a lot of all of these things, it is very, very easy to succeed in this exam. Like, even if your account doesn't balance, if you understand and model all of the line items properly, you'll be able to pass. My account did not balance when I was writing the exam, but by God's grace, I was able to pass because I understood all of these things and my model was clear and easy enough for them to understand. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Lamide. That's a billionaire response. That's a billionaire answer you just gave to us. Just give us like chicks notes. Thank you. Yes. Yes, I've been engaged. Yeah, thank you so much, Lamide. Do you want to say something, Lamide?
No, 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 no.
Thank you. I've been engaging with Deep Brown Consulting, and this question on what's that thing she said, your account may not balance, that's not the issue. So yeah, it's not testing how look what they want to say is they want to be sure you follow best practice, right, Lamidi? They want to be Lamidi,
Yes,
okay?
ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. So I've been engaging with them. So best practice. And the reason is because they're trying to put like because people have been doing financial modeling long, even before the institute, came up. The people have been doing financial modeling, right? So but now they're trying to put like trying to standardize it. Let me use the word. The way we have accounting standards before accounting standard became or before IFRS came, different countries have been running with their own standard. But of course, because we wanted to speak the same language, then International Financial Reporting Standard came, and then everybody had to, just come together and comply. Now, with financial modeling, and that's what they're about to do, they are trying to put some form of standardization to it, such that anybody that picks your model can actually understand your model without your presence. All right. So the same way that I can review the financial statement without necessarily speaking to the accountant that prepared the financial statement. So the financial models too, they want a situation where anybody can pick your financial model, like this model Lamide just presented, I should be able to understand everything she's done in there, even though I wasn't part of the people that built the model. Because one of the things financial modelers also do, some of the jobs they also get, they also review models. So sometimes, Lamide, for instance, my build models, some other times she might be reviewing somebody else's model. All right. So sometimes it's about reviewing another person's model. So if the model is not properly built for someone to review, then it means it doesn't kind of pass the best practice. So what I can advise is in addition of joining this group, I think you should also join the Financial Modeling Institute group on LinkedIn. All right. So you can just type Financial Modeling Institute, FMI, on LinkedIn. Find Deep Brown Consulting on LinkedIn and just follow them so that whenever they make any form of post, you can learn from them. From the Financial Model Institute, they release a lot of resources. They send some to my email. So when you're following them, you also get to have access to this information. So even without the examination, you can actually, build your competence in best practice financial model. So I don't know if there are more questions for Lamide. More questions? Any questions? So the plan was for us to just do 1 hour, 30 minutes. So we still have 30 minutes, but if there are no other questions, we can actually end. More questions, more questions. If can I get reactions, how you're feeling about the about the webinar? Because I think for me, I'm just so excited about. Oh, go ahead, Cataligo. Cataligo, please go ahead.
When we started the session, you mentioned that you can learn financial modeling even when you are not registered with FMI. Can you take us through those? Like how else can we learn financial modeling?
Okay, without taking the certification examinations, yes, you can. You can watch online videos. There are videos online on YouTube on financial models, but remember that there are different aspects of financial modeling depending on what you're trying to model. So you can learn them. But the thing with online videos is you're not sure if they are following best practice because everybody's just putting in their own videos online, and which they are actually very good resources. But if we're going into a situation where standardization is now an in thing, so that you don't learn wrongly without best practice in mind, and then you become like an expert, then you realize that there's certain things you should not be doing that you should be doing. I don't know if you saw Lamide's financial, it's still on the screen anyway. If you look at a financial model, there's a reason why it's looking the way it's looking. All right. So not all financial models look like this, but there's a reason why this particular one is looking because of certain rules, So that's the thing. So it's FMI for us now in the world, they're the only accreditation body that provide accreditation for financial modeling, practical aspect of financial modeling. The other ones don't do practical aspects. They do like multi-choice and all, but they are the only one now. So we don't know if there'll be more bodies coming up, but for now, they are the only international organization that is providing that practical testing or examinations. In fact, it's interesting to know that even the CFA, that's the Chartered Financial Analyst, they have actually made it some part of the syllabus are now included, financial modeling, practical aspect of financial modeling. And the reason was because of FMI. So FMI has gotten into CFAs, they're now in fact there are a lot of YouTube videos from the CFA Institute, both in Nigeria and outside of Nigeria, where they are now teaching their members how to do practical aspect of financial model. Because what used to happen before was that some of the members that don't know the practical aspect would then have to engage a financial modeler like Lamide, to do the financial, modeling. But now they're now making it something that everyone member, a skill everyone member should take. So you can learn, yes, by following resources, YouTube videos, watching and practically just engaging yourself by the little knowledge you've gained, you can then look for an organization, a real life organization where you can practicalize what you've learned. Okay, like on the group also, I'll try my best to document my practical experience. I'm following the certification program, so I'll be documenting my own experience, following the certification program. So I'll be teaching from that point of view. I'll try my best to do a lot of practical sessions just so that everyone can at least have some bit of knowledge in this area. Okay.
I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
Do you have specific videos that you can recommend that you've maybe used that use best practice?
Okay. Specific video. Okay. Okay. Let me go online because I've watched a lot of videos, right? Let me go and see if I can recommend some because now that recommendation is like I'm putting my my words to it. I'm putting my stamps, to it. All right. So I don't want to go recommend something. I
Okay,
really don't.
while you are looking for them, I have
Yeah.
a question for Lamide. So
Oh, go ahead.
I took the same exam last week, Saturday, and I just wanted to find out from her if her balance sheet was balancing. because I think that's one of the things I struggled with.
Okay.
My balance sheet was not balanced.
And you managed to pass.
Yes, I managed to pass. The FMI issued a statement, and even the Brown they usually send emails stating that balancing the balance sheet is not important. It's not the main crux of the exam. Learning how to create a
Okay.
model, integrate everything I said earlier is more important than balancing the balance sheet. But in your journey to including all those things that I said earlier, your balance sheet should balance. It's usually balances, but then there are one or two errors that could happen here or there that could make it not balanced. A lot of these things could go missing, like they could go unnoticed at all, and some of them are very easy to spot. In my journey, I created up to 7 models in practice for the exam, and all of them balanced. But on the exam day,
Okay.
it didn't balance due to an issue that I wasn't able to discover until much later. But
Okay.
I was still able to pass. It's not as necessary as people think it is, but it's quite necessary.
And now I have hope that I will pass.
Amen. By God's grace.
Amen.
Okay.
Amen. Amen.
I have a question regarding scholarships, right? So with me, I applied directly with the FMI Institute and I got a 50% scholarship. So with DB Brown Consulting, I saw that they have scholarships for Africa specifically. Are they fully funded?
At
The
legal. Can't hear you. Lamide, did you hear him?
Oh, no.
I think he was asking about the African student scholarship, if it was fully funded or not.
Oh,
Did I get it?
sorry, I partially lost connection there.
Okay.
Yes,
Can you finish?
DB scholarship. I got a 50% scholarship. So are the DB Brown Consulting scholarships fully funded or are they partially funded like the ones from FMI?
FMI is in a partnership with D Brown Consulting.
Where you apply directly?
I applied through D Brown Consulting's
Okay,
African
so
Student.
okay, so they are also partially funded.
Yes, partially funded. The price reduced
Oh,
from about $2,800 to $150.
thank you.
Okay.
I wanted to ask about freelancing opportunities that you guys may know of. I know it was mentioned during the session, like remote freelance opportunities that you guys may know.
Okay. You said you want us to let you know. Is that what you're saying? I hope I got you. Freelance opportunities, yes, and I think that's one advantage. We're also good to be able to maximize in our group, for us to share. Because the truth is, sometimes you don't work in isolation. I want to build my financial models with members of the group. That's the truth. So if, of course, if the opportunities, as long as the client is comfortable in bringing a third party into the project, why not? I'm going to share my own opportunities, if I get the client go ahead, why not? I would share. So yeah. And if anybody gets an opportunity, even if you cannot readily do that, you can reach out to other people that can. Lamidi, for instance, can help. So if you have opportunities, even if you cannot, and if you also want to use the opportunity to learn, I believe working with Lamdi will also help you. So for instance, you probably work in an organization and you your boss is probably asking you to work on something, you can then bring any member of the community. Lamide, of course, would be glad to do that. Or let her speak for herself. Let me speak for yourself, because one of the things I hope to do with this community is to empower young people, and I believe that it's possible for young people to take over, even even when they're young. So Lamide, speak for yourself. How would you take opportunities? Are you ready?
I think yes, I am ready to take opportunities involving financial model.
Right.
I think a
Thank
lot of opportunities are also on apps like Upwork and Fiverr. Fiverr, I'm not really sure, but I've seen a lot of opportunities on Upwork. Currently, my laptop is down, so I haven't been able to optimize those applications, but very soon I will, by God's grace.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I think because of the certification, there's a level of boldness now for Lamide. You can actually write to random organizations because of the badge, so there won't be too much questioning. It's easily believable. That's one thing the certification does. Easily believable. All right. So yeah, any other question, comments, feedback? Okay. Okay. All right. So in the absence of none, I would like us to be free. We still have our community. Let us engage on that platform. More opportunities, more yeah, we just want to work on real life projects. So let's engage the community we have, and I believe we'll go bigger and better. All right, thank you very much. I'd like to say a very big thank you to everyone that was able to make it for today's webinar. I would like to say thank you to everyone, and those that left at some point in time, thank you too. And I also like to say a very big thank you to our guest speaker, Lamide Shoyemi, for honoring our invitation. I believe Lamide would, if you so wish, you can drop your, yes, thank you. Yes, Catalogo is giving a, yes, clapping for Lamide. So, Lamide, if you so wish, you can drop your details, like your email address. I think that'll be fine. Email address, and of course, you can always send a message on Telegram. So you can, or your handle, in case they don't even know what your handle is on. So drop your Telegram handle and your email address on the group so that anyone can easily reach you. All right. So, in case opportunity comes up, they can just bring you in. All right. So thank you very much, Lamide.
Thank
God bless you.
thank you for having me.
Thank
God bless
you.
you.
God bless you too. God bless you, Jasmine, Ayomide, Katlego, Limaru, Oladayo, Adenike. God bless you. Good night. Bye.